So there's been no live show for a week, and I've got a lot of catching up to do. And there's some stuff that happened a while ago that I feel compelled to talk about because I just can't get past it. Fox and Friends spoke about the 9/11 memorial in the wake of the anniversary, which was recently. And they couldn't help themselves but politicize the issue with the dumbest point imaginable. Check this out.
Mr. Secretary, you and the Vice President will be there today. What can we expect? What are you going to be doing there?
Well, today is really a memorial for the 40 passengers. We're gonna talk to the families that were here. We were here yesterday dedicating a chime, which 40 chimes, design of it, shovel, groundbreaking for that portion of the monument. But really reflecting on how great this country is, the sacrifices we've made, and also talking about the change that 9/11 brought to all Americans.
Do you worry 100 years from now someone's going to try to take that memorial down like they're trying to remake our memorials today?
Brian Kilmeade. He is a special kind of stupid, isn't he? I mean, he should really wear a dunce hat as he sits on that Fox and Friends couch. He just compared a 9/11 memorial to Confederate statues. Yeah, there's a pretty big difference between those two things. The 9/11 memorial is to the victims. The victims. Whereas the Confederate monuments are to the perpetrators. They're not Confederate monuments of the slaves who were tortured and raped and beaten and had their families separated and lived miserable lives because they were chattel, they were property of the slave owners. The Confederate monuments are to the perpetrators. The 9/11 monument is to the victims. If we had a statue of Osama bin Laden up, yeah, I'd hope we'd fucking pull it down. I would hope that wouldn't be a statue that stands very long. No, you know what? They know that, though. They fucking know that. They're not that dumb. They can't possibly be that dumb. But they don't care. They're playing for a team. That's the whole point of Fox and Friends. We're a red team. We're Republicans. And, the Republicans in the South are for keeping these statues up, so that's what we're for. So all the logic is irrelevant. Forget the logic. I'm playing for a team here, and let me make this ridiculously stupid point. And also, guys, I spoke about this once. I should probably talk about it more in the context of discussing this issue, but I didn't know this, but the Confederate statues were put up in two eras. It wasn't directly after the Civil War. It was not. In fact, Robert E. Lee himself was like, yeah, don't put up statues to the Confederates. Don't put them up of me because that's not a good idea. So even he was against it, but it wasn't put up directly after the Civil War. It was put up, number one, during the Jim Crow era. The whole point was to say, hey, black people, get the fucking line. We still run the show around here. You don't believe me? Look at that statue over there of the people who fought to keep you enslaved. So a bunch of them were put up during the Jim Crow era, and then the other time they were put up, Civil Rights era. So they were put up specifically as a symbol of segregation and oppression of black people and second-class citizenship to say, hey, fall in line. I see all you, uppity N-words are running around here trying to get equality, but if you get equality, that takes away our right to keep you as second-class citizens. So here, let me remind you again of your place in society. Isn't it nice to walk down the street with your, 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid and see a statue of a Confederate general which represents your oppression? So people today, they have all these, cutesy little arguments that try to spin the reality and say, no, it doesn't mean what it quite obviously means, the Confederate statues. It's just to remind us of history. Yeah. Right, which is why, is it a good idea to keep up statues of Stalin in Russia? Are those same people who would argue to keep up Confederate statues, are they in favor of keeping up Stalin statues in Russia? Are they in favor of keeping up statues of Goebbels and Himmlers and Hitler in Germany? Well, it's just learning from our history. That's all we're doing. We're saying never again. Really? You say never again by putting up the statue of the fucking perpetrators? Pretty sure you do that by putting up statues of the victims. But on Fox News, logic is irrelevant because they're playing for a team. They know what their team believes. So they just make a preposterous conflation of a statue to the victims of 9/11 and a statue to the perpetrators of the Confederacy. Look, man, if you're one of those people who says, no, I really think we should keep them up, fine. But at least make a cogent argument in favor of it. Like, if you want to have that opinion, fine. But don't obfuscate like this. All this is obfuscation. Let me muddy the waters, make a point that makes no sense to try to dupe rubes into saying, yeah, that's why we should keep them up because it's just like the 9/11 memorial. No, it's not. So if you're on that team, hey, let's keep up the Confederate statues, fine. But make an argument that is logically coherent and not the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And with Brian Kilmeade and Fox and Friends, naturally, they don't give a shit about logic and rationality. They're just there to play for a team and be the biggest partisan douchebags imaginable.